everybody! Welcome to the Turtle and the Bear podcast. I'm Turtle.
And I'm Bear. And today we're talking about asthma, the lovely thing of not breathing.
Yay!
So what is asthma? It's a chronic lung disease affecting people of all ages. It's caused by inflammation and muscle tightening around the airways, which makes it harder to breathe.
Symptoms can include coughing, wheezing, shortness of breath, and chest tightness. These symptoms can be mild or severe and can come and go over time. Although asthma can be a serious condition, it can be managed with the right treatment. People with symptoms of asthma, you guys should talk to your doctor.
Yeah, please do. Breathing's kind of important. Turtle and I both have asthma.
Yep.
Mine's a little more severe. If you listen closely, you would likely hear me wheezing and coughing. Today specifically because I haven't had my buffer in a bit.
Well, because it's expensive and you don't have benefits.
It is so expensive.
You don't have benefits.
It is a lot to A, be crazy, and B, not be able to breathe properly.
I am very fortunate that Ducky has benefits and it covers me as well.
Yes.
So I'm very fortunate in that
I'm
aspect.
hoping to get benefits soon.
I really hope you do because, well, not
again,
sucks.
it's a lot of money to be crazy. And
I remember I got first tested, I think when I was 6 or something, and then I got put on Flovent, and then
was that the round disc one?
No, mine has a puffer. Mine was a puffer. And
I used to be on.
And then I had Ventolin also as a puffer.
Oh, okay.
But my mom didn't really regularly enforce because she had asthma and she outgrew it. She was one of the fortunate ones to outgrow her asthma. She didn't go, okay, you're taking your medication right now. She would just, oh, did you take your medication?
Mm-hmm. At 6 years old, you're supposed to remember that.
And I would go, yeah.
Yeah, totally.
So, and then I wouldn't take it. And then I didn't take it properly. I would take it like on and off sometimes. And then at one point I did take it a little bit better. But then I think when I was at the tail end of grade 8, I got tested again.
Mm-hmm.
And it was during a season where
like spring and fall where the pollen's insane.
Yeah, I think it was during summer, or I think it was the beginning of summer. So the pollen, I think,
is insane.
It wasn't that bad that day, actually.
Really?
The worst seasons for me is spring and fall.
Mm.
Fall being the worst.
Okay, so you were going with mild asthma, basically?
Yeah, but when I did the test, it looked like I just had allergies.
Oh, yeah.
Even though I really needed. And then, so that summer, they took me off medication completely.
Mm-hmm.
I was very fortunate that I had an old Ventolin with me. And
not that we recommend using expired medication.
It wasn't that old. It wasn't too old,
but when you need to breathe, you do what you need to do.
So I remember just going through that whole summer, and like I was probably there was at one point where I was having asthma attacks multiple times a week, like tiny ones. And it looked like I was sick. I wasn't sick. So then in the fall, my mom she got kind of sick and tired and went, okay, you've been sick for months. You're not getting better. We have to go to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And I still remember that day. We didn't have a car, so we had to take the bus to the doctor's appointment. And she was just kind of telling me, like, kind of, like, not yelling, but just like, hurry up.
Yeah.
Then she was just walking, I'm just coughing, and we get to the doctor's office, and we are late, and they were going to pass me over, but then they heard how I was breathing.
Mm-hmm.
And they turned to my mom and said, hey, she should be in the hospital right now on oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't really click in my mom's head until
how severe
it was.
Condition was.
They're like, she should. And then Flovent, for most of you who are not on asthma medication,
for those lucky people
is one of the kind of, if we go on a rating system, is one of the lower ones, in quotation marks. Doesn't mean it's a bad medication. That just means your lungs
It's a mild steroid.
Yeah, so your lungs are strong enough that it only needs a little bit of help. But because of the amount of damage, that just the, like, I think 6 months
of not being
on medication every day.
Yeah.
Like, other than Ventolin, everyone, like, whenever I could take it, or whenever I needed it, I had to be put on Advair, and then I was also put on Singulair as well.
I was on Singulair too, but I thought I was on that for allergies.
So what Singulair is, it is an allergy. It's an allergy medication for asthmatics because it works along our asthma medication, so our inhalers.
I was on Singulair when I was too young to really understand it. So,
well, I got put on that. I was just on 10 milligrams, and then
I think I was on 20.
Because the weird thing about Singulair is that it's not covered under regular benefits. So they have this other company. I remember getting this card, and it was specifically to cover Singulair, like, or whatever benefits wouldn't cover or something. So then I had to give that to the pharmacy, and then it was basically another benefits card, but it was basically a foundation that was kind of just supporting asthmatics, and because we obviously need this to breathe.
Clearly.
Yeah.
I remember mine tasted like weird bubblegum, like it was dissolving. We got the chewable capsules.
Oh, I got pills.
Oh yeah, I couldn't. Well, I was too young to do pills.
I was going into grade 9.
Yeah, see, I was still in like elementary.
Yeah, so no. So you had to get the chewable ones.
I had to do chewables.
So I remember, and then
I can still remember the taste. It was gross.
When did I? No, it wasn't until after I had bronchitis I got switched to Symbicort. Yeah. So
bronchitis is deadly for asthmatics.
Yeah. So I think, was it 20? I want to say 2019.
I don't know.
It was 2019. I remember.
I wasn't in the picture yet.
I know. It was 2019. I got sick. It was started out as just a cold, and then so my dad's very strict on no dairy when I'm sick.
Yes,
because that's the quickest way
to get rid of the.
And all this stuff. It does.
You do the same thing to me now. Stay away from dairy.
Because I hear you coughing and choking.
Intolerant. I stay away from dairy. I choose life, and then I don't choose life.
Yes, but anyways, he had made dinner, and he forgot that he put like butter and sour cream in the mashed potatoes. And I even asked him, like, can I have this? And then I actually got sick the next day, and he's like, I'm so sorry.
Oh no.
So he took me home. I ended up being physically ill for like, I think 12 hours or something, like on and off. And I lost so much weight when I was, because I think for like, I want to say like 4 or 5 days, I was living on water, ginger ale, and Gatorade. That's it.
I enjoy blue Gatorade specifically.
I think it was actually blue Gatorade.
Blue Gatorade is my sick juice.
And I actually think I was just doing liquids because I think I tried eating something and I would get sick. So I had to literally.
Well, when you were sick, were you diagnosed like gluten intolerant at that point?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, because if you weren't and you were eating like saltines.
That
would make you sick.
I was gluten free. Okay. I was adhering to that diet for a couple years at that point, actually, because I think I went gluten free when I was 15. So it was 2014. So it was the summer of 2014 when I went gluten free.
Yes, because I left in 2013.
Yes.
And you just started talking about possibly being gluten intolerant.
Yeah.
When I left.
Yeah, so I remember, and then I had been sick for like a week and a half, almost 2 weeks at this point, and I still wasn't getting better. And that's when I had such a bad fever, I couldn't move. And there wasn't any cold medication in the house. There was nothing that would help with a fever other than an ice pack and like a cold towel or something. So, and I'm like, Mom, can we please go to the doctor? tomorrow. Yeah. And then I won't go into too much detail with all of that, but it came out at the doctor's office. He's just like, well, it's good that you came because 2 days away from becoming pneumonia.
Yeah. My aunt actually just got over
2
pneumonia.
days. That
Again,
was so scary.
Pneumonia is deadly for...
That's even worse.
It's more deadly than
this is really
for
funny.
asthmatics.
So I got put on... So at that point, I was on my Advair, Singular, Ventolin, and I was also taking... I think I was taking like Buckley's. Mm-hmm. And then they put me on Prednisone.
Oh, I hate it. My little brother and I will attest to how much that drug sucks.
And they put me on antibiotics, obviously.
Yeah.
But the first 5 were just so I could breathe.
Yeah.
Even the Buckley's.
If you're on prednisone, you are seriously in trouble because it's a high, heavy steroid.
Yeah. So I think
they only give you like 10 of them at a time.
Yeah,
because they're such high steroids.
They're like, you should be better by the time this runs out.
Then I don't know what else we're doing.
So I finally got better, and then I was actually I was taking some extra courses after high school at this one, can't remember what it's called, but basically I could go there, and because I was under a certain age, I was still covered for free for a little bit. I missed like 3 weeks of school.
Ooh.
And this wasn't like a regular class. You would take one class from, I think, 9 a.m. until lunch. Mm-hmm. So for like 3 hours.
You're in one single class.
I
would not be able to do that. My ADHD could never.
So
unless it's like art. If it's art, then I could do that all day.
Yeah.
Or dance.
So I was in physics and math at that point because I was still trying to do another career. I was at one point interested in doing ultrasound technician, and you need physics to do that. Mm-hmm. But as we've discussed, Turtle sucks at math.
A little bit. Your numbers don't mix around. It's all good.
After a couple years after the bronchitis incident, I got taken off of Singular, and I was so happy. So I'm like, my lungs are getting better. Yeah. And then I got put onto Symbicort. Mm-hmm. And I was talking to my respiratory doctor. I'm like, hey, what's the difference? I still don't really know the difference between Advair and Singular. I don't really know. But the main difference is the Advair I was on was a puffer, and then the Singular that I'm on is an inhaler.
You're on Symbicort, not Singular.
Thank you.
Singular's the pill.
They all sound so similar.
They do.
Symbicort.
We're both on Symbicort.
Yes.
Which it is an expensive puffer.
Yes. But thank you for listening to my monologue. We are now switching to Bear.
Bear's experience. I was diagnosed very young. Mm-hmm. I actually used to be on a ventilator to get my medication. Like the entire compressor, pumping medication into you, have a mask over your face. I had that. That's how bad my asthma was.
How young were you?
Oh, like, it was, I think I was on it just after my parents got divorced, so right around 8 years old, like, just before we met. When my asthma got really bad, we had that, and we would have a liquid version of Ventolin, and that's how we would breathe when, like, my little brother is the worst of the 3 kids to have asthma. So he would use it a lot more.
Yeah, I remember that.
He would use it a lot more, but then I got a disc puffer version thing, and that was cool because it's like disc. It's fun to use. And then I was on the Singular as well, and all the time I had Ventolin as a puffer, and then we went puffer with the chamber.
But what was your everyday puffer?
Oh gosh,
because Ventolin is it's a rescue puffer.
It wasn't Singular. It was I think it started with another V. But it was blue as well.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember what it was. But we had that, and then we had the chamber to help it get into our lungs better. And then because my lungs were stronger, I upgraded to Symbicort. And my little brother tried to do it, but his lungs are not strong enough. He can't physically do the whole inhale properly. Because his consistency.
I found a chart. One second. Cool. Keep talking.
His consistency of oxygen levels. He's in like the mid 80s. Anything below 90 is hypoxia.
Yeah.
He should be in the hospital. He should not be walking around.
Oh no, guys, let me just say, when I walked into my doctor's office that one day, my oxygen level was like 72.
Yeah, like you shouldn't be functioning. You're in hypoxia.
Somehow
you
I
should
was
not be
still
functioning in that way.
walking, but
My
sorry.
little brother is consistently in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Doctors don't know how he's alive, and neither do I, because the little shit smokes too.
Oh.
And I'm just like, you're just trying to kill yourself. But now I am on Symbicort, and it's expensive, so I don't take it as properly as I should. It's supposed to be 2 puffs once a day for me, or 1 puff twice a day,
Pardon
depending
me.
on how
That was
my
a burp.
asthma goes. And then I have
Trying to
Ventolin
find
as
it.
well as my backup as a emergency
here we go.
inhaler. And it's just so expensive because for me it's $160
Mm-hmm.
Canadian because we're Canadian. It's $160
Mhm.
Canadian.
Do you remember any asthma attacks that you've had over the years?
Actually, I recently had one before
No.
like last, I want to say last summer. It was
Mhm.
one of those hot days.
It was quite hot last
And
summer.
I just came back from the dog park,
Mhm.
and my dog was really, really muddy.
He was probably covered in
And so
grass
I needed to give him a
too.
bath. And so I gave him a bath, but then the humidity got to my lungs, and I had an asthma attack, and I had to go sit in front of the fan, and I like was kind of freaking out because I'm like, I haven't had one
Do you have
in
wet
years.
asthma or dry asthma?
I think I have dry asthma because the humidity affects me.
It means you have wet asthma.
Whatever. The humidity
Because
affects
if you had dry
my little brother has dry asthma.
if you had wet asthma, sorry, if you had dry asthma, the humidity wouldn't bother you. You probably what it looks like is you have more of a wet asthma, so that's why humidity kind of bothers you a little bit
It
more.
would make sense because I do have a lot of phlegm.
So
I
have dry asthma.
The humidity
tell you
bothered
that.
me either way. So I had an asthma attack, but then I was freaking out because I hadn't had an asthma attack since I was like 8.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't remember what they were like, and it was like I was gasping for air, and
That must have been really scary.
It was really scary, and Chicken couldn't figure out what was going on because he helped me. Like, he normally doesn't help me with bathing the dog, but he'd helped me that time. And it really hit when I was drying off the dog because that's more physical activity than just bathing him. And so I told him, I'm like, you need to finish this. I will be back. I need to go sit in front of the fan for a sec. And so half an hour later, he comes over to me. He's like, are you okay? And I'm like, yep, still trying to breathe. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I just had an asthma attack. And thankfully, I had puffers at that time. I had just gotten a re-prescription for Ventolin.
So you had something at least.
I had, and for the longest time I didn't have Ventolin because I hadn't had an asthma attack in years, like decades.
Yeah. Just because you don't have
it's
for
like
a
an
long
EpiPen.
time.
You should always have one with you if you're allergic to something.
Yeah. I just heard you wheeze.
Yeah, I can hear it, and I will be going home and taking a puff because I am low on my puffer. So every 2 days, I take a puff of my puffer.
You should be taking it at least every day. I should be
taking it every day, but I don't have the money to do that.
That's why I'm really hopeful that you guys get benefits.
I really hope we get benefits.
So I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm done now.
Okay.
I was just
rambling. I know I monologued for most of this time.
Dude, it's fine. We both have asthma.
So I Googled all of the prescriptions, and look, they're even in sections.
Oh yay!
Maybe we should post this. Maybe we should post this so everyone else can see it too. Okay, so one section is called preventers. Inhaled corticosteroids. So in this section there is Alvesco, and it's like a dark orange rusty kind of puffer. And then there is
what?
These names are really getting to me. Besic.
I'm just gonna let you struggle. Okay, so I had Flovent discus.
Okay.
And the Ventolin discus.
So the thing is,
and I'd actually had the Advair discus too.
So when I walked into the doctor's office, like having the asthma attack, they originally gave me the Advair discus, like a sample one, because I was
To
going
try
away
it.
for like a weekend camping trip.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, here. But my lungs weren't strong. Like, and I came back the next week and I said, I'm still feeling this way. Like, basically, my lungs were so weak. They couldn't get the medicine down to them. So that's why I had to have the puffer.
Yeah.
And a chamber tube.
So I had Flovent for sure. I had the orange puffer.
Yeah, and then
we
there's
had
also
that on the chamber.
Yeah, and then there's also, I'm not going to read all of these, but then there's also Inflammatide. It's like this white. There's 2 different versions of it, and then Pulmicort one, and it's an inhaler, kind of like the one that we have, and then Singular is actually listed in this one as well, and that's preventers. So basically, these are the ones that you take all the time. Well, not every single second of your day, but like one that you take.
You take them regularly.
You take them regularly. And then there's another section, controllers, long-acting B2 and agonists. Oh, God, my brain is...
I'm loving listening to you.
Love you. And then there's this blue one, and it's called Cervant. No, it's Cervant Acuhaler. It's this one right here. So there's only a couple in that section, and then the combinations. So then there's more capsules. DP, Haler, Reva, or whatever the hell that is. And then that word, yes.
Which one?
This one.
Purple.
Revelizer? That one. My dyslexia was really rare in its
Those
head.
are pills.
Yes. So there's actually pills in a couple of these sections, in all of them actually. And then there's this purple one, but it's not Advair. It's called Seretide. These are combinations. So obviously it's a combination of preventer and reliever.
Yeah, I only had
and Symbicort is in the combination section. So that's what I remember my respiratory doctor kind of telling me about it. It can be used as both a rescue and a preventative medication.
Yeah, I definitely had the orange one.
Yeah.
And then I'm positive I had the salbutamol, but I can't remember. It's been so long since I've been on an actual physical puffer because I've been on Symbicort for over a decade.
Yeah, and then I've been on Ventolin. That's just been my rescue, or my reliever.
I've been on the Turbu inhaler version of Ventolin. But it's just easier for me to just have Ventolin.
I'm so glad everyone's gonna be entertained by me struggling to read medical terminology.
I'm entertained by it, so I hope
you would be
else
struggling
is.
Too. Let's just deal with that.
I wasn't though. It wasn't me reading it.
But if you were,
but if I was,
you would be struggling too.
We're leaving it all in, by the way.
I know.
Every single part of you struggling was delicious. Thanks for coming out to our TED Talk about asthma.
Yeah, in our lives. But I don't want to have another asthma attack.
Nobody does.
Because it will honestly scare Ducky so much.
Yeah. He will freak out.
And when I have an asthma attack, I kind of sound like a horse coughing. If you guys can imagine that. Yeah, except it's like it comes from
it's guttural. Yeah, it's insane.
And I remember some of my friends. I remember in junior high, I had a couple asthma attacks in gym class.
My gym class coach in grade 9 didn't understand asthma at all. So when I told him I could not physically do cross country, couldn't understand it. Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, but everything says you should be able to do this." And my mom actually ripped him a new one. Was like, "Are you a doctor? Are you her doctor? You know her asthma? Don't talk about it."
But basically, some of my friends and classmates said, "Turtle, your skin was kind of purple."
Yeah, that one blue. Yeah.
And that happens because your body is deprived of the normal amount of oxygen that it needs.
Something I didn't realize was an asthma thing until actually really recently.
Mm-hmm.
When you run, it hurts the back of your throat. When you get breathing too heavy,
Because it's
that's the back of your throat. It's because of asthma. Normal people don't have that. Did I just give you the light bulb too?
I am bamboozled.
I didn't realize this until I saw it on TikTok the one day, and I was like, what? Yeah. Anyway.
Oh my goodness. Thanks for joining us.
Oh,
Make sure you follow us on our social medias.
Yeah.
And subscribe on Spotify and YouTube.
We post every Turtle Tuesday, every Positive Thursday, and every other Friday. We have a new episode on YouTube and Spotify.
And we may be posting some sporadic.
Yes, there will be
things.
sporadic other stuff too, but consistently Tuesday, Thursday, and every other Friday.
Well, thanks for
comment,
joining
do
us.
all the things, and we will talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye.